I answered 33 questions from coaches and I do not hold back. For those who don't know me, my name is Selena. I have a following of over 1.5 million followers on social media. I've made over 4.1 million in coaching myself, generate over 10 million for my clients. And that's why I do think I can tell you something about that. So anyway, I answered 33 questions from my clients from specifically coaches, and I do not hold back in that video. So let's directly dive into question number one. Okay, you build a 4 million plus business without ads. Do you think coaches should run ads? Yes and no. Let me tell you something about ads. The thing is with ads that you are going to pay Meta to run traffic to something, which is basically your funnel. If you don't know anything about the messaging that you need to do in order to make sales, if you do not know about anything when it comes to your audience, you just run traffic to a broken system. And that's why the organic foundation is the most important one before you actually start running ads, because you just run traffic to a system that already works. So you need to figure out the system first. You want to have a very good organic foundation before you drive traffic to it that is paid, because otherwise you will probably only lose money, right? So yeah, organic foundation first and then ads. Okay, my calls go well, but nobody buys. What am I missing? 99% of the cases, people are missing the pre-qualification and the way how they attract people. I will tell you something. You do a content piece. You have that little funnel within the content piece that I'm using, which is a specific hook tailored to my target audience, a specific way on how I give value within the content piece, and then a specific CTA to something that is only interested for my target audience. Now, if people go through that content piece and you have a conversation, you book them into a call, if you have a hook that attracts a person that is not ready to change anything in their life, you won't make a sale at the end. So 99% of this problem is already in the hook, because that's actually 80% of the sale. And nobody really wants to believe that, but that's just the case. I'll give an example. If you are a confidence/mindset coach and your hook is 5 tips to become more confident, you literally attract everyone and nobody around this entire world, right? But if you say, here's the exact reason why you're shaking in front of other people. This is a problem that only one person has, that knows they have a problem when it comes to confidence. They knows they want to change something, like they just know it, right? And they want to make a change. And this is how you attract the right person. Because again, like, your funnel can be amazing, your offer can be amazing. Like, you can have the best salespeople within the call, but if you simply attract the wrong person in the very first place, which is top of the funnel, which is your content piece, then you're not going to make the sale at the end, or you have a very bad closing rate. Okay, question number 3. You're a mom of 2 running a multi-million-dollar business. How do you actually manage that? I do not think that I have perfect routines or something. I think that's not impossible. I do think there are a lot of people out there that have good routines with kids, but I do say that kids are unpredictable. So I just do it, right? I just live in the moment. I do have my routines. I do have days where my children are in daycare, etc., and I know where I can work. But most of the times I just work when they're sleeping. So I do not say that I have a specific routine to manage it. I just do it, if that makes sense. Okay. Question number 4. How do I stop attracting people who can't afford my offer? That's the almost exact same thing that I just talked about. It's always the messaging. If I would say, for example, I'll give an example from my very first offer. When I started coaching, my very first offer was I was teaching complete beginners on how to build a business online, right? That was my very first offer before I focused completely on coaches. Now, the very first offer, if I said, for example, in marketing, I remember there was this one post when I said, I was super broke, blah, 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 and now I'm rich, more or less, right? I mean, it was not that exact wording, but still, I was like, it was a storytelling post in which I was talking about back then when I was super broke, in debt, and now I basically built like a six-figure business, right? Now, the thing is, if you are saying, I was super broke and in debt, you're attracting this exact person that is super broke and in debt, and this person is not able to buy or afford a high-ticket program at all, right? If you say, for example, and this is what I changed back then, if I said I was super unhappy in my 9-to-5 and tried to find a way to go out of that and build my own business, I attracted people that were in a 9-to-5, so they did have the funds to invest into high-ticket coaching. So it's always the messaging. It all comes down to messaging. Like, messaging is such an important tool to like have all those good numbers within a business, and so many people just miss that. So yeah, it all comes down to messaging. You need to figure out who is that person that can actually afford that program. And as soon as you know this, like, you will try to find a messaging that hits this exact person and not anyone else. Okay. Question number 5. Why do you tell your clients to take their prices off their website? Very good question. I'll tell you something about websites. I do actually say that people need to delete the whole website, not even the prices. But anyway, let me explain. If people, and let me just start here. Let's pretend someone is scrolling on their Explore page, like it's 10 p.m. whatsoever. This person sits on the couch and is scrolling through their Explore page, right? And then they see a post, which is great. Like you have a very good hook that attracts the exact thought that this person has. So you're attracting literally ideal client, right? So this person will go on that content piece, and this person finds that content piece super interesting. They probably comment on a CTA, and then they check your profile. Now they see that you're helping this exact person that is in front of this phone. They're like, oh, that's interesting. Like that's exactly what I need. They go to your website because you do have that link, worst case, in your bio. They go to your website and they see exactly what you're offering. Pricing, what it exactly entails. Like it's not about the transformation. It's more like this is what you get and this is the investment, right? Now what happens? Like this person just saw you. This person just discovered you. So what is happening is that person already takes a logical decision of, I will never invest 3 or 4 or 5K into that person. And then you can do whatever you want. Like you can give like the best content to this person. You can give like, I know, the best freebies to this person. This person will never buy because in their head, they already made a logical decision. I can't afford that person. Now in high ticket sales, you do the opposite. Nobody knows what my offers are except they're talking to me. Because I want to make sure that if I talk to someone, if that's really my ideal client, this is where I share my offers. Because everyone else would be just take that logical decision of, I can't afford Selena. And that's why if someone never talked to you and doesn't even know the value that you can bring for that person, which is happening in the sales call, which you can't do with a website, they just take a logical decision. So you're losing people that you probably could convert within 1 week or 2 weeks that just already took that logical decision. Hope that makes sense. Okay, question number 6. What's the hardest part about scaling that nobody talks about? Very good question. I would say the hardest part about scaling that nobody talks about is the part that you will always fall back. That's one thing, that you will always fall back in scaling, because when you scale a business, there's so many different components that you do. You run more traffic, you go probably into paid ads because now you have a proven system, you hire a team, and there are so many things that could go wrong within the process and could go wrong because as soon as you hire a team, your numbers will drop first, etc. That's one thing that a lot of people don't even understand. They think scaling is like this, but scaling is actually like this. And second thing is that you give away your control, right? Like you're doing probably everything yourself. If you're at 10, 20, 30K a month with your coaching business, you're probably doing everything yourself: content, sales, qualification, setting, whatsoever. You do everything yourself, including delivery. Now, as soon as you start to scale, you want to hire first, for example, a setter and a closer. So you're giving up that control. And I think that's a harder thing because you can't really say, is that person good? You have to test, right? You can have like a top tier A player, a closer, a setter, and they still can perform like shit. I've experienced that. So therefore, I think that, yeah, you're just giving up the control. Okay, question number 7. A coach comes to you making 5 to 10K a month with a 2K offer. What's the first thing you change? The pricing of the offer. Now, here's the thing. 2K is a very dangerous place to be in with your offer because it's too expensive for people that can't afford high ticket, but it's too low for people that really want to make a change. I'll give an example for a Louis Vuitton bag. If you go to Louis Vuitton and the bag costs $5,000, you assume that this bag is amazing. This bag will hold like your whole life. Like this bag, you will just have that bag forever, right? If you go to Zara and you see bag for $20, you think like, okay, I'll probably have this bag for 1 month. And that's the same psychology that people think of high ticket coaching. If it's too slow, if it's too low, then people probably think that's not even worth enough. If it's not high enough, probably people think again that this is not worth enough. So for people that can't really afford a high ticket but would like to, it's still too much because they probably can just afford 500 or 1,000. But for people that are really eager to take a change and to really change something in their life, for them, they do not see the value in 2K offer. So raise your prices first. Make sure you can deliver on that pricing, obviously, but raise your prices first as a first thing. And just with the leads that you already have, you will automatically make more money, obviously. Okay. What is one thing that immediately raises your show-up rate? Qualification. Here's the thing. I see people getting with people on calls that they never really talk to. So I don't know, they have a content piece. Let's take that simple funnel that I use: content piece, freebie, conversation, call. Now they take people to that funnel and they have people in conversations. And the first thing they probably say is like, hey, great, like you got my freebie, here's my calendar link, let's just book a call. They don't know at all if this person is qualified, either financially, if this person is qualified when it comes to they can really help them. Like, there's no qualification process in between, which means that your closing rate will be obviously super, super low, maybe under 5%, because you do not know if that person really makes sense to talk to, because you do not know if that person could be a potential fit for your offer. So qualification is it's the most important thing when it comes to raising your closing rate. Okay, scared to raise my prices. What if nobody buys? A lot of people think that it's the opposite. Again, like I give the example of Louis Vuitton. If you decide to go premium, you will invest the money to go premium. And it's the same with your audience. You, best case, attract stage 4 buyers within your content. And those are the people that are eager to make a change. Like, they're desperate. They tried already everything. No matter what it is, weight loss, confidence, business, it doesn't matter. Those are the people that tried already so many things and now they're desperate to find a solution. They are going to invest no matter what the investment is. Because in high ticket coaching, you do not sell like a program, you do not sell a container, you do not sell like calls, you sell a whole transformation, a new identity. And people are willing to pay for a new identity if it's worth for them, like if it means something for them. So what I saw in the last 4 years of doing coaching is whenever I raised my prices, I got better clients, maybe less clients, yes, but better clients, and you automatically make more money. So you get better clients with better results and less headache. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Question number 11. You went from 12 hours a day to 2 to 3 hours. Walk me exactly through what changed. Okay. Good question. I was in that hustle mode like all the time before I became a mom. I was all the time in hustle mode, 12 hours a day. And I really loved it. Like, it's nothing that I will say, like, I would do it again, right? But I became a mom of 2 in the meanwhile, and I figured out that it's just not possible anymore. You do not have 12 hours a day. So I found or needed to find a way on how can I put like the 12 hours that I worked into 2 to 3 hours effectively without losing like the momentum, the revenue, etc. And what I basically did is building systems, hiring teams. That's what I did, right? So I tried to find systems, like things that I anyway did all the time, to systemize that. And second is to get people to help me, a setter, a closer, a VA, whatever you need to make that work. But as soon as you systemize something, you can also outsource something. And that's what I did, basically. Okay. People DM me, but then disappear before booking a call. Why? You're probably asking the wrong questions. Let me tell you something about DMs. Like nowadays, specifically nowadays, with all the AI bots and setting bots and whatsoever, we do not want to go into a sales conversation immediately. Like, imagine someone gets your freebie, for example, and you directly start with, hey, what's your problem? You just download my freebie, like, what's the problem? People don't want to hear that because they know immediately they want to sell them something. People are not dumb nowadays, right? They know if you want to sell them something. So you want to start with a small talk. You want to start with a conversation like, hey, awesome, I saw you download my freebie. Like, is there anything else you want to learn from my content? Maybe I can send something over, right? Start with something they want. They wanted to have first value in the first place, and that's what they want. So just continue with that, or ask them a question about the last story. Like, make it personal. As soon as you personalize something, people can relate more and people are having this trust within the conversation. And then after, having some small talk back and forth, then you can go into business. Like, hey, you just told me like you're working a lot of hours. Like, what is the thing that is holding you back to just reduce that, for example? And then you go into the business transition. So I think the answer is going too fast into the business transition, asking questions about finding out if that's my target audience before doing any small talk, because then people are ghosting. Okay. One of your clients went from $800 offers to 100K months. What did you actually change? A lot. We changed first off the offer. She was selling a low ticket offer. And basically what she did is she was selling a high ticket delivery on a low ticket offer. So we immediately just changed the pricing. That was the first thing we did. And that actually worked already pretty good, right? So we changed from $800 to an offer which was more than 3K. That was the first thing. Second thing is we implemented qualification, because that was the next thing. She was working so many hours because she talked to literally everyone trying to get them into that $800 offer. So we changed the pre-qualification, that we made sure that she only talks to people that can afford. And then we raised the prices, obviously. So she made more money in a very short time. And then third, it was the content, the way how we talk to people. Because again, like, her content was tailored to a person that was possibly paying $800, but not more. So we changed the way how we we changed the messaging on her content. That was the way how she could basically attract better clients. And then last but not least, we implemented a team, obviously. I would say everything to 20 and 30K, you could easily do alone. Everything after that, 50K, 100K a month, you would just want to have a team. Okay. Do you think there are too many coaches in the market right now? Yes and no. There are too many bad coaches in the market right now. But I'm not saying there are too many coaches because the thing is, and especially if you listen to that and you want to start a coaching business, if the market is saturated, that's a good thing. Because if you see other people are succeeding in something you want to do, that is your sign that there's demand for it, there's a market for it. If you do not have that, like if you go into a niche that there's nobody, it could go right, but the chances are very low that you will have success with that. So if there are a lot of people out there doing the very same thing as you, that's a very good sign, but you have to be good at it. I think there are too many bad coaches out there, actually. Okay. And that's why people get burned. Okay. How do you build a team when you can afford how do you build a team when you can barely afford to pay yourself? Okay, good question. A team is always commission based, especially if you hire a setter or closer. So the first hire that I would do is definitely a setter, someone that is already getting you more revenue in, right? I would never hire like a VA or something if I'm, just making a few sales a month. So you want to hire a setter, like people that are getting you sales in, and those people are salespeople are always commission based, so you only pay them if they make a close, actually. Okay, next question. How do you know what's actually broken in your business? Like, where do you even start? Very good question. So you literally want to break down, and I love the tool Lucid Chart. Um, what I do with Lucid Chart is that's basically like a tool where you can just map things out, right? What I would like to do is I would just break down every single process in my business and really break that down. So for example, traffic source, Instagram. Then I would write down content. Then I would write down DM. Then I would write down sales call. Then I would write down delivery, for example, right? Those are the steps usually in a high ticket coaching. And then down below those all of the steps that you're doing to actually make a sale, I would write down all the systems, all the things that you're doing. What do I do here? What exactly do I do here? What exactly do I do here? And this is how you actually figure out, because then you see the big picture. So you're like, okay, this is what I do here. Possibly this is what I'm doing wrong, right? Okay, I see. I don't use this, for example, here. This is what I'm doing wrong. So breaking down and analyzing every single part, because sometimes, again, your offer can be amazing. Your way of doing sales calls can be absolutely amazing. Like you can do an amazing job, but if you got the wrong person in the very first place in top of your funnel of your content, then it's absolutely impossible to make a sale, right? So you want to see all of the things, because most of the people, as soon as they have a low closing rate, they just figure out like, okay, how can I be better at sales? What is a better sales framework? What are the tricks? What are the hacks? What is objection handling? All that kind of stuff. But if you're attracting the right person in place, you probably don't even need a lot of objection handling. Okay, what kind of content should a coach making 10K a month be posting? Very specific content tailored to that one person that this person wants to have in their program, right? Again, social media is full of hacks and tips and the 5 tips here and the viral thing here. Like social media is full of that. Nobody wants to see it. Like people saw the same reel all over again, the same trend all over again. If you can stand out with that 2 a.m. thought that people are having, this is where you get to people, right? Like you want to make sure that your content is so specific that it only attracts that one person that you want to attract for your program and just doesn't attract all the other ones out there. And this is how you actually then also make more sales, obviously. Okay, got burned by a coach last year. How do I trust again? Good question. I have a question for you. Have you been in a relationship before? Probably yes. Are you in a relationship right now? Probably yes. So why would you let a bad relationship keep you away from having a new one? And that's exact thing with coaches. There's so many bad coaches out there. It is what it is. There's so many scammer coaches. There's so many coaches that promise you the word, and at the end they don't deliver. Like I got burned myself all the time, but still I know that having a mentor, having a coach is so important. So therefore, I do not care if I got burned, because I know it can be better next time, right? I'd probably be more maybe I do a bit more research, obviously. Maybe I see if that's really the person that can help me. But you will always get burned from 1,000 things, and you still go ahead and do it again, and you will get crazy results and amazing results. Okay. What should a coach's first hire be and why? Okay, answered it already, but I will answer it again. A setter. I would never hire someone that just can help me with doing something. I would hire someone that is actually revenue, like giving me more revenue in, right? Which is a setter or closer. I would hire a setter first. So someone that books you more sales calls, which makes you more money, and then hire a closer to help you taking those sales calls. That's what I do. So setter is the answer. Okay. How long did it actually take you to hit consistent 30K months? Be real. Okay, very good question. It took us 7 days to hit 26,000 when we started with coaching. The first six-figure month, I think, happened after 4 months, something around that. We just aggressively went out with content, right? So we had a big following. Like, we grew so fast because we just aggressively went out with content. We just did the volume gain. I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. It's volume and consistency, which compounds and which makes you at the end a lot of sales, right? If people do not see your pitch, if people do not see your content, then they won't convert at the end. They can't convert because they don't see it. Okay, what do you do when every sales call ends with, I need to think about that? Good question. Two things is you can do an objection handling. The I need to think about thing is always like it's never an objection. There's something missing for the prospect to actually buy. So it's either something in the program is missing that makes them feel like, oh, this is absolutely irresistible. The pricing is something that keeps them away, like they can't afford it whatsoever. That's first thing. You can do objection handling by just asking like, hey, you know what? Like, I see that something is missing for you. So tell me, right? Is it the finances? Is it something that's missing? So what is the one thing that is holding you back right now from jumping in and actually getting results? Second thing is that mostly that objection you get if you attract the wrong person in the beginning of the funnel, which is your content. So if you get an objection a lot, I would first take a look at the content before I even take a look at becoming better in sales, if that makes sense. Okay. You have 1.4 million followers on your theme page, but you say followers don't matter. Explain that. Yes, I do have so many followers, and I bet that out of this following, maybe 0.01% are actually in my target audience. Because the thing is that you can get followers so freaking easy. Let me give an example. If you have an account with only cute cat videos, you'll probably grow very, very fast. You'll get probably millions of views on the videos, and you will probably get like, I don't know, 1 million followers in the shortest time ever, because people love to watch funny stuff. People love to watch that kind of stuff, and they just hit follow, right? But you're not going to make money out of this following, because why should someone that follows like a cute cat video page pay you for any high ticket offers, right? Doesn't make sense. So therefore, people or followers doesn't mean anything if those are the wrong ones, if that makes sense. And when I started Confident Woman, I focused completely on inspiration and motivation. So I never targeted the target audience that I wanted to attract, if that makes sense. Okay. What would you say to a coach who's making money but secretly feeling like a fraud? You will always feel like a fucking fraud if you are hitting the next milestone. That's normal, because for example, you're doing 10K, 20, 30K a month, and now you want to get to 50, 100K. You're starting hiring people, you're starting becoming a leader. It's always something that you never did before. Like, you will always do something that you never did before. So immediately you will feel like you will have that imposter syndrome. That's absolutely normal. Whether you're starting out and you have the first clients, you feel like imposter, or you build a team and you feel like imposter because you never led a team in the past, right? So you will always feel like a fraud. That's absolutely normal. We always feel like we can't do something if we never did it, right? So just accept it. Okay, what's the fastest way to get more qualified leads without spending money on ads? Change your messaging. That's the first thing. Qualified leads only comes if you attract those leads, like if you talk to those leads. That's the very first thing. Second thing, volume. Third thing, consistency. Like, if you put those things together, you will get more qualified leads without any ad spend at all. Okay, you lost everything in 2020. In 2020, your ad account got banned, PayPal got froze your money. How did you come back from that? Very good question. Okay, for those who don't know, we had a social media agency in the very first place, and then we had a dropshipping business, and Facebook like banned all of our ad accounts at one point, and PayPal froze our money, and our business was just like down from one day to the other, right? Now, the reason why we got back from that is I was realizing I don't want to rely on ads anymore. And that's why I'm saying, like, ads is great. Ads can make you a lot of money, but you rely on ads. Like, if Facebook decides to ban your account, then you're just fucked with your business, right? So therefore, I was thinking, okay, what is the way, what is something we can do that is not based on ads? What is something organically? And this is why we started Instagram. And that's why we came from making 100K with dropshipping, everything got like banned, and our business went down to 4 million in coaching. So I was just trying to find something that is not relying on ads, and that's why we actually started Instagram. Okay. Do you think coaches should do their own sales calls or hire a closer? Definitely do their own sales calls in the very first place. It's super important that you learn the audience, because the only way how you can adjust your messaging and make it perfect is by talking to people, right? And I do say that, especially if you're beginning, sales is the most important skill that you can get for everything in your life. So therefore, you want to learn that yourself before, and then you hire someone as soon as you do have more sales calls, obviously. Okay, what's the biggest mistake you see in how coaches structure their offers? Low pricing, and they only sell containers. Like if you're on a sales call and you tell people like, hey, may I just tell you how I work with people? And they're like, oh yeah, great, just tell me, right? You had a great conversation, like you figured out that's absolute ID client, you know exactly you can help this person, and you already let her know like what could be like the thing that you could do. And now you go into pitching. And then you probably say like, okay, perfect. You get 12 calls, you get a Slack support, you can text me 24/7, blah, blah, blah. And the investment is 3K whatsoever, or 2K if you're underpriced on top of that. And people are like, okay, do I really need that? I'm not sure. If you start by selling the transformation, you're starting to pitch not by you're getting 12 calls, you're starting to pitch by, hey, I'll get you from this to this in the next 90 days, from the current stage you're in to their exact desired outcome. And then you're going to start with, this is how we're going to do that. In the first place, the very first thing we do is first call in which we discuss this and this and this to get you to this step. In our second call, we do this and this and this. In total, we will have 12 calls in which we get you from this to this with this specific roadmap. So instead of talking about the features, you will explain the features by explaining the roadmap by starting before with the overall transformation that you give people. Okay, and then you have a great price for that, obviously. Can you scale without losing the personal connection with clients? Yes. I'll tell you something about delivery is that back then when I started coaching, or not, I wouldn't say back then. I would say around 2024. I started in 2022, and 2024 we got this hype of every coach wanted to do like a big ass group coaching, and everyone wanted to hire a head coach, and everyone told us to let this become so big that we don't even see our clients anymore. And I've been there. I didn't hire head coaches. That's nothing I did, but I became very, very big. Like I had around 900 people in one offer, which was great when it comes to the money side, but I didn't really knew the people anymore, right? And it was absolutely horrible because I couldn't deliver on a scale I wanted to deliver. So my strategy or my tactic, what I teach my clients is you have higher prices, less clients, less headache, better results. So just higher prices, you have one specific avatar, you're making the same amount of money, but with less clients, you know your clients, you can deliver, you can get them the best results ever. Okay, what's the worst business advice you've ever received? Okay, I would say specifically when it comes to content, just continue posting. Because if you're posting bad content, I'm saying bad content when you're attracting the wrong person, for example, you would just run more traffic to that wrong person, right? So you want to adjust and analyze and make your content better to attract the right person, and then you want to post more. So I think the worst advice that someone ever told me was like, just continue posting, right? Because then you're still attracting the wrong person, if that makes sense. Okay, your client Lena went from 0 closes to 3 in 1 week. What changed? Oh, very good question. And that's a very tiny tweak that we made, and possibly make that also. If you do have sales calls, if you're booking people in, you never book them more than 3 days. So for example, if you have a conversation with someone on Monday, you send them the calendar link. The calendar link shouldn't show appointments on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday next week, right? You want to have like 3, maximum 4 days in advance for people to book. She booked people 10 days ahead. And that's why never bought, because you have to understand, especially if you talk to a stage 4 buyer, especially if you talk to someone that is ready to make a change, if you book this person after 10 days, they already search for someone else, right? They want to know the solution today, tomorrow, or worse, like still 2 days later, but not the next week. So you want to book people like 3, maximum 4 days in advance. And this is what we changed. That was the only thing, actually. Okay, if you had to start your personal brand from zero today, what would you do in the first 30 days? Figuring out who is my exact client avatar, not figuring out demographics like her name is Sarah, she's 35, she's from US, but figuring out what life stage is she in, what is her desired outcome, and what are the 2 a.m. ChatGPT chats that this person is having. And that's my content piece. Then I would post at least, I would say 3 times a day, just to get the account running, but specifically posting for that one specific person, just being absolutely consistent and engaging with all the people that are engaging with me, my comments, liking, whatsoever, just building trust. Yep. Those are the first 30 days that I would do. Okay, how do you know if your offer is the problem or if it's something else? Very good question. If I'm on a sales call and I couldn't close this person, I ask myself first, is that the right person in my sales call? Because as I just mentioned so often in this video right now, it's mostly because you're talking to the wrong person. You can have the best offer out there, but you're talking to the wrong person. If you figure out your ideal avatar, you know exactly who that person is, and you know exactly that this person wasn't a call and you didn't close, then we probably need to have a look on your offer. But if you go back to the sales call, if you rewatch the sales call and you figure out, okay, this person wasn't even my ideal client, then it's probably not your offer, it's just the messaging. Okay, last question. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing where you were stuck at 10K a month, what would it be? Hire a fucking team. I wanted to do everything myself. I was hating to tell someone, hey, do this for me because I was scared of losing that control, right? But you can't do anything yourself at one point. You can't do content, delivery, setting, sales call all at once. You will just burn yourself out. And that's what happened to me. So if you're at 10K right now or even 20K, hire a team, setter, closer, maybe VA, but I would just focus on setting and closing and on a system, like systemize processes within a business. But the first two hires, I would do hires, the first two hires, setter and closer. Okay, that was it. That was great. So if you're a coach right now making 10, 20, 30K a month or even less, click the link below and let me see how we can work together and make your business grow.